Do you know those mornings that feel totally out of control? Where everyone is rushing, things are getting forgotten, and somehow, despite your best efforts, the whole house feels on edge? When the kids are snapping at each other and you're already exhausted before the day has even properly begun. I felt stuck in this dynamic for quite a while. No matter how early I woke up, mornings felt like a battle until I realized something really simple but life-changing. I had to take care of myself first. Just like they tell you on an airplane, put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. If I start my day feeling centered and grounded, everything flows more smoothly. I have more patience, more energy, and honestly, everyone in my family benefits. So today I want to share the morning routine elements that help me fill my cup first. There are small shifts that make a big difference in how I feel and how my whole day unfolds. Welcome back to the Doula Johanna Podcast. I'm so happy you're here. Mornings set the tone for the entire day. But as a mom of 3, I know how hard it can be to prioritize yourself first thing. I remember reading the 5 a.m. Club book once and thinking, that sounds amazing, but also completely unrealistic when you have small children. Waking up before the sun to meditate and journal for an hour, not happening, at least not in my house. We live in such an overwhelming world already. The second we open our eyes, stress-inducing things come at us from all sides. Notifications, emails, mental to-do lists, kids needing a million things at once. If I start the day feeling rushed and reactive, I end up projecting that stress onto my kids. And when I send them out the door, nagging and rushing them, I feel awful about it for hours. That's why I decided to take everything I've learned about reducing my stress levels and increasing my mood and health and cram it into just a few minutes of intentional self-care in the morning. And I can tell you, this morning routine has truly changed our family dynamic. Today, I'm excited to share the 7 elements of this routine that make the biggest difference for me. Let's get into it. Number 1 is no snoozing. Get up right away. When my alarm rings, or if I wake up naturally and I'm less than 45 minutes away from my set alarm time, I get up right away. No snoozing. I used to think that those extra minutes of sleep would help, but in reality, they just made me feel groggier. That's because sleep happens in cycles, typically lasting around 90 minutes. If you wake up naturally near the end of a cycle, your body has already transitioned toward wakefulness. But if you snooze and drift back into another sleep cycle, only to be woken up in the middle of it, you'll likely experience sleep inertia, that heavy, sluggish feeling that can last for hours. Research confirms that fragmented sleep reduces cognitive performance and alertness, making it harder to start the day feeling refreshed. I've definitely experienced this firsthand. If I wake up at 5:50, even though my alarm is set for 6:20, I just get up. It actually makes me feel more rested, and on lucky days, it even gives me a few quiet moments to myself before the house wakes up. Number 2 is making the bed. If no one else is asleep in the bed next to me, I make it right away. It's such a small thing, but it gives me an instant feeling of accomplishment, like I've already checked something off my list before the day has even started. It turns out there's science behind this too. A certain Admiral William H. McRaven, in his book Make Your Bed, explains how completing a small task first thing in the morning creates momentum and sets the tone for productivity. Psychological studies back this up. Small wins trigger dopamine release, which improves motivation and mood. For me, it's also about aesthetics and environment. I love walking into my bedroom and seeing a neatly made bed. It makes the space feel calm and intentional. Plus, it often inspires me to create other little clutter-free areas in the house during the day, because apparently I'm the kind of person who cares about that. Of course, in reality, my husband or one of my kids is often still asleep next to me, which means the bed making has to wait. And let's be honest, sometimes that means it won't happen at all. And that's okay too. The key is knowing what helps you feel good in the morning and doing it when you can without pressure or guilt. Number 3 is hydrating my body. Once I've woken the kids, if it's after 6:30, or if I'm lucky, made it downstairs alone, the first thing I do is put the kettle on and throw some bread rolls in the oven for my girls. But before jumping into making their lunchboxes, I do something for myself first. For a long time, I thought I had to start with the kids' needs before my own, but I realized that that doesn't serve me or my mood. So I begin with hydration. I don't feel like eating early in the morning, but I can drink a lot. I make myself a big half-a-liter glass of lemon water, or if it's winter or my throat feels scratchy, a hot ginger lemon tea with freshly grated ginger. This simple habit makes a huge difference. Staying hydrated first thing in the morning supports digestion. It seriously helps me to go to the bathroom like a baby, total win. It replenishes fluids that were lost overnight. It boosts my metabolism and energy levels, and it helps my kidneys detoxify my body. You don't need to be a professor to see that drinking warm water in the morning can stimulate digestion and improve circulation, making it a small but powerful way to set your body up for the day. And honestly, I often forget to drink throughout the day later, so this guarantees I start off well hydrated. Number 4 is walking barefoot. One of my favorite morning rituals is stepping outside barefoot. If it's summer, I walk on the cool grass in my backyard for a couple of minutes. In winter, I still do it, but it's more like a 20-second run through the snow before my feet scream at me to go back inside. And of course, I have to time it so my kids' bread rolls don't burn. I started this practice intuitively because it just felt good and because my mom insisted that this is a great idea. But later, I learned there's actual science behind it. It's called grounding or earthing, and research shows that direct contact with the earth has real health benefits. This first sounded so woo-woo to me, but here's how it works. The earth has a negative charge, and when we connect to it with bare skin, our bodies absorb free electrons. These electrons have been found to reduce inflammation and pain. They lower cortisol levels, which helps manage stress. They improve sleep by regulating our circadian rhythm. And they enhance circulation and boost mood through serotonin and dopamine release. This is why kicking off your shoes at the beach or in a park instantly feels so good. It's not just in your head. It's something your body actually needs. For me, grounding is a small but powerful way to start my day feeling calm and connected. And on the mornings when my kids wake up early and join me outside, it becomes even more special and fun. They get to start their day connected to nature too. So if you want a ridiculously easy way to bring more peace into your morning, try stepping outside barefoot, even if it's just for a minute or two. If you don't have a garden, just find the next patch of grass close to your house. We used to do that when we lived on the second floor. You might be surprised at how much better it makes you feel. Number 5 is getting sunlight, easily combined with number 4. One of the simplest but most powerful things I try to do each morning is get some natural light as early as possible. I first learned about this when I started my job at the Munich University, where I met several circadian rhythm scientists, and later I deepened my understanding through the book Chasing the Sun. Big recommendation. So why is this important? Morning light regulates our circadian clock, signaling to the brain that the day has begun. This kickstarts the production of serotonin, our feel-good neurotransmitter, helps regulate cortisol levels, and ultimately improves our energy, our mood, and sleep quality. If I can, I step outside to soak in those first rays of the day. If the weather doesn't allow it or one of my kids really needs me, I at least open a window and let the daylight touch my face. My youngest daughter loves to say good morning to the trees, the birds, and even the neighbors' houses. So this is making it an easy and sweet part of our morning routine together. Number 6 is breath work. While I'm outside, I try to incorporate a bit of breath work, one of the simplest but most effective tools to shift my energy. I first got inspired by Mo Goddard's work on happiness and well-being. And I love how he describes the impact of breathing on both our health and emotional state. My goal is simple: 3 rounds of 30 deep breaths while walking through the garden anyway, feeling the fresh air and ideally letting the sunlight hit my face. Sometimes I only manage 1 round of 30 breaths, and that's okay. This season of my life is about making space for myself where I can, knowing that one day when my kids are grown and independent, I'll have all the time in the world for an elaborate morning routine. Right now, I do what I can, and that's enough. So, what's the nice thing about breath work? Again, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which means it lowers your stress and anxiety. It increases oxygen levels, which boosts my focus and energy. And it regulates emotions, which really helps me start the day feeling grounded. Even just a few intentional breaths make a difference. If you haven't yet, try it. And number 7 is practicing gratitude. The last piece of my morning routine happens while I make my kids' sandwiches. I take a moment to think of 1 or 2 things I'm grateful for. Usually it's just a small moment from the day before, a conversation I had, a funny incident, a new client, or a moment of connection. A while ago, a mother I supported gifted me a beautiful 5-year gratitude journal, and it has become one of my most treasured possessions. Every day, I jot down a simple sentence of gratitude, and my favorite part about it is that I can immediately see what I wrote down on the same day last year. Recently, we celebrated 1 year in our new home, and reading my gratitude entries from last year was so moving to me. I was so thankful for our landlords choosing us, for our friends helping us move, and even for making it through those first chaotic weeks when everyone had a stomach bug. I truly believe in the power of daily gratitude. I've done the Magic, a 28-day gratitude practice by Rhonda Byrne, multiple times, and each time it has felt empowering and motivating. Gratitude shifts everything. It turns ordinary moments into gifts, struggles into lessons, and daily life into something meaningful. So now that I shared about the things that I do in the morning, I also want to talk about the things that I don't do in the morning. By this point, you might have noticed that I'm still not dressed and I haven't even washed my face or brushed my teeth. That's because my morning unfolds in 2 parts. The first part, everything I've described so far, happens before my older daughters leave for school with my husband at 7:20 a.m. The second part is when my youngest and I get ready together. We have another 30 minutes just for the 2 of us where we get dressed, go to the bathroom, and often read a book or 2 before we leave the house and bike to her daycare. I rarely shower in the morning unless I've had an especially bad night. If I do, it's a quick hot shower followed by a cold rinse, something I've done since childhood, thanks to my parents. It's second nature to me, but usually not part of my daily routine. And then there are certain things I intentionally avoid in the morning. Number 1 being drinking coffee. I don't handle caffeine well anymore since my pregnancy, so I now stick to caffeine-free coffee later in the day. But even before I switched to caffeine-free coffee, I realized that a glass of lemon water and a few minutes outside wake me up far better than coffee ever did. The second thing I'm avoiding is checking my phone. This is a big one. Notifications, emails, and social media first thing in the morning trigger a stress response in me. And once I go down that rabbit hole, it's hard to get out. So I avoid my phone completely. That said, being a doula on call makes this tricky. I have to check my phone in case a mother needs me, but I don't want to be bombarded with everything else. So my solution so far is I put my phone on do not disturb mode, and the mother I'm on call for is set as a favorite contact. So her calls and messages always come through. Everything else stays silent. If there are any fellow doulas out there with a better system, I'm all ears. I've considered getting a second phone just for on-call periods, but carrying and managing 2 devices doesn't seem practical or less stressful to me. The third thing I'm avoiding in the morning is eating sugar or starchy carbs. I've learned that sugar spikes drain energy and set me up for a crash later. So I do my best to prioritize protein and fiber in my first meal instead of reaching for something carb heavy. It's not always easy, but thankfully, my kids are pretty into it. They often help make a tofu breakfast for all of us, which honestly makes it much more fun and sustainable. So, these were the 7 elements of my morning routine. In case you don't remember them, let's do a quick recap. Number 1 was getting up right away. Number 2 was making my bed. Number 3 is drinking lemon water. Number 4 is walking barefoot outside. Number 5 is getting some natural light. Number 6 is breathwork. And number 7 is practicing gratitude. Of those 7 elements of my morning routine, I don't get to all of them every day. And that's totally fine. I don't stress about it. What I've realized is that getting up right away is the most important piece for me. Everything else is a bonus and comes pretty easily to me. I am thirsty anyway, and once I step 1 foot outside, I can walk barefoot, get some natural light and deep breaths for free. Flexibility is key in this phase of my life. One of the things I love about this routine is that my kids can be involved in almost every aspect of it. They also create their own little morning rituals, which makes it even more special. I also know that I'm lucky that 2 of my kids are already fairly independent and dress themselves. Nonetheless, if I'm kind to myself first thing in the morning, if I show up as my own life doula, everyone else benefits. My goal is to have the time and patience for last-minute requests. You know the ones. Mama, where's my rugby shirt? My watercolors? Where's my library card? Can you French braid my hair? You've heard it all. I just want to send my kids off with a kiss and a smile instead of a stressed comment. And that small shift makes such a big difference. For me, getting up just 10 minutes before the kids have to get up was the game changer. Those 10 minutes allow me to do the things that help me feel awake and good about life and avoid the things that spike my cortisol before the day even begins. The mood in our house is dramatically better when we give ourselves, as parents, the time to start our day in a good way. I hope you enjoyed this episode. What are your favorite elements of your morning? I'd love to hear. I will share all the books I mentioned in the show notes. And if you're interested in buying one, I'd be so grateful if you used my links for the purchase. This is a really easy way to support this podcast. I appreciate it. And if you know someone who could use a little morning routine inspiration, please share this episode with them. See you next week. Take care and be your own life doula.